Okay, this will be part one of how to register your dirt bike for the street, and I'm just kind of go over some best practices and what you should start out with first. The first thing that I would do if I was you is just do a quick Google search on the laws in your state, if it's even possible. So, like, I could do Tennessee, for example. You would just ask, is it legal to register an OHV for the street in Tennessee, for example? I butchered that, but anyway, so you could look on here, it is generally not legal to register an off-road vehicle. OHV, like a UTV or ATV, is fully street legal for general on-road use. While they can be registered for specific purposes, they cannot be registered as standard street legal uh, dirt bikes or whatever. So let's just kind of dig into this a little bit more. You'll just want to read through here basically. And I know that some states, basically, if the manufacturer states it's an off-road use only vehicle, you just plain and simple will not be able to do it unless you go through Dirt Legal or one of those companies, which a lot of people, have problems with. But that is not the case in most of the states in the US, so you are able to do it, just like normal, essentially. So let's just try Florida, for example. And they say roughly the same thing, it looks like, but I'm trying to think of states that for sure do it all the time. This might just say no on everything just because of how it is. But anyway, you're going to want to figure that out first. First of all, is it legal to register it? Is it even possible? So look into that. You'll get what is that called? A certificate of origin when you buy a bike, typically, if you bought it from somewhere other than the state that you live in. And then you could basically pay the taxes and get the title for that eventually, which is what I had to do because I live in Utah and I bought my dirt bike in Idaho. And then basically they just gave me a certificate of origin that says it was off-road use only on the certificate of origin. But in Utah, it doesn't really matter what the certificate of origin says, as long as you can go to the DMV and demonstrate that you have done all of the work correctly and you've had it inspected, saying that it has all the equipment that it needs, and then they'll register it for you as street legal. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so first figure out if you can do it. If you can do it, find out what the actual laws are. So in Utah, we have the Utah State Legislature website where you can kind of go and read through a bunch of these things, all these rules. And this goes, um, little piece by piece essentially, but a lot of the time you can find different websites that reference back to the Utah code or whatever state you're in. So basically, here it's talking about some of the rules, and you can find this again on the Utah code. And so right here, as you can tell, it's got similar rules: seat height, two tail lamps, one headlamp, whatever it is. This is the one that's applicable for motorcycles. And basically, you can just kind of find a few different sources, but I really like using the Utah Highway Patrol one, so I can go to highwaypatrol.utah.gov, and basically on here it'll tell you also section of the Utah code, so you can pull that up and look at it. But they all reference the same thing. This is just kind of compiled into one location, so it's a little bit easier to get. But mostly this is talking about street legal ATVs or side-by-sides like that. But the same rules apply for a motorcycle. As it says right here, an off-highway motorcycle has been modified to be street legal, subject to the same vehicle standards in this manual. So first, you're going to need one or more headlamps that meet the requirements of the 1603 code, which I had pulled up here earlier, but essentially it's just saying that it needs to be seen from such and such distance. It can't be a floodlight, it has to be a projector style light, which mine are. and then one or more tail lamps, a tail lamp or other lamp constructed and placed to illuminate the registration plate with a white light. I have that on my bike, so some states require it, some states don't. A red reflector on the rear. I honestly have not had many like guys look for the reflector. As long as your tail light can be seen good enough, then they're happy with that. One or more stop lamps, so you obviously need a brake light. Amber or red electric turn signals, one on each side on the front and rear. And also, another secondary rule that some states have is that they need to be more than 4 inches apart from each other. So just double check that. In Utah, there's not that requirement, from what I can tell. And then it needs to have a braking system, a horn or other warning device, and a muffler and emission control system that meets the requirements of blah, 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 as you can see. And you could pull that up and look at it. But once again, I have not been hassled by it. I have not been hassled by the people doing the safety inspection, which is who you really need to be worried about. Not so much the DMV. I guess you would need to worry about it if a cop was having a really bad day and just wanted to hit you with the book for some odd reason. But typically, as long as they see that you have your horn, your lights, your blinkers, they're pretty happy. But anyway, a windshield or something to protect your eyes, so a helmet works fine, or goggles. And then a speedometer illuminated for nighttime operation. Right there, it does not specify whether it's GPS or RPM driven from the wheel or anything like that. I actually was able to register my bike saying the speedometer was on my phone with a GPS speedometer on the phone. So as long as you have a way to know how fast you're going, I don't think it's too big of a deal, especially in the state of Utah. But the best thing about this whole thing is that generally, for the most part, people are very uneducated about doing this, and so you can get by with a lot of stuff that you normally wouldn't be able to, like if you were on a car. But anyway, you're gonna need, let's see, vehicles designed by the manufacturer for carrying one or more passengers. You need a footrest, so obviously on a dirt bike you wouldn't be able to carry two people unless you put on passenger pegs. And here's some tire requirements. The other thing that they might need to know is, are they DOT tires? So like a street style tire. I have had inspectors look for that before, but basically just get educated on what the laws are in your state is the first thing, if you can do it at all. And if you can, you need to figure out what are the requirements. Dig through your state code and figure out where this is listed. And if you can't find anything like this, I would suggest just figuring out if you called the DMV and asked them if you got a safety inspection for all of the required equipment for the road. Could you register your off-road, normally motorcycle, for on-road use? And that's a good way to get a quick answer if you really need to, but sometimes they're just going to tell you no, because they don't know, essentially. But just make sure you do your research, figure out what you need, and obviously contact me if you need something custom made to meet your state's requirements. I'm happy to do that for you as well. But like I said before, most people are uneducated about this whole thing. So I would just go to your local shop. That's all I had to do for my safety inspection. Go to my local mechanic, and he was able to print out the form, complete the inspection. He checked my brake pads to make sure they weren't worn, simple stuff like that, and he was able to sign off on it. And the other thing that you might get or run into is in the state of Utah, they had me put on how many miles the bike has gone, but there's not an odometer on the dirt bike. And so I just kind of estimated from the hours that I have on the bike, because I do have an hour meter. And then obviously when you renew your registration, you'll just have to come up with a different number, basically. That's literally what my mechanic told me to do. So anyway, this is just, some basic groundwork for what you're going to need to do. The biggest thing is get to know how to find this stuff. You could also call into the non-emergency line to your police department and ask them if they know what the requirements are, if it's allowed or not. And anyway, once you do that, you basically are going to take your either certificate of origin or your title, and a safety inspection at the same time. You need to make sure you have both of those. You'll take both to the DMV, and then they should allow you to register it right away, just like that. But in the next part of the video, this is going to probably be a 3-part series. I'm going to talk about how to actually put all this stuff on, where it needs to be located, tips and tricks for how you can mount it so that it's visible or more visible or less visible, depending on what you want. But and then I'll discuss, the different options that I have on my website as well, and that sort of thing. But that's it for this video, so hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you can get your bike started being registered for the street. So check it out, and be on the lookout for those other parts of these videos.